Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Awakening Spiritual Temple. I am Ianifa Ifakemi Egbe Fumike Yajide Monica. I'm Yvonne Craig as well. I would like to thank you and welcome you to our Sacred Sunday Temple service. I am currently sitting outside in sunny Arizona, enjoying this Sunday morning before weather gets too hot here in Arizona. I'll get straight to it. I want to again welcome you to our inter spiritual online congregation or temple of people. People, definitely, we are people for sure, right? So again, I would just like to welcome you to this space, giving thanks to Olodumare for allowing me to wake up this morning, for allowing me to sit in this space with you, giving thanks to my ancestors, my egungun, those that have come before me, honoring them and thanking them because I am bone of their bones and it is upon their shoulders that I stand and their guidance that I receive in all areas and aspects of my life. I just want to thank you, giving honor and praise to them, giving honor to my elders as well within my spiritual system and within my walk, giving honor, to my mother and father who brought me into this world as well today. And I'm going to walk around a little bit as well, getting back into the zone of going live. Um, so we're going to talk about, I'm speaking about, and would like to hold this conversation with you about sacred boundaries, protecting your spiritual journey while honoring your family. Sacred boundaries, protecting your spiritual journey while honoring your family. There's a Yoruba proverb that says, "Let us approach our journey with love and understanding, recognizing that every path has its own wisdom." What are our goals today? What are the objectives? What are the things that we're looking at today? Why did I choose this? I noticed that whenever we practice something that, whether it's we take on a new tradition within our family on how we want to celebrate a holiday, or when we enter and we decide we want to break the norm. The reason this came up is because I know one of the things that I've experienced, not per se as much because my family, has been kind of open to things, but while transitioning into Ifa and Orisha or any other African spiritual system for that matter, I would even go as far as to say changing when your spiritual walk has changed from what the tradition of your family, your nation, your country, your tribe, your group of people has been. When I mean tribe, I don't mean in the sense of a ethnic group, friends, that core group. It can sometimes strain your relationships with family and friends of different faiths. And I would like to let you know that it is possible to maintain strong bonds through empathy, education, and a shared commitment to love and support one another. It can definitely be done when we have this bond to share and to support one another. Now, within the Ifa tradition, we have our sacred text, the sacred Odu, and this Odu gives us wisdom and guidance from Orumila. The divination system is called Ifa, and so we have this guidance and this wisdom, this sacred text. You know, in the church Christianity, they have the Bible, which is their sacred text that brings guidance and wisdom. Ifa is the sacred oracle that guides us throughout our lives. Okay, and so within that, there's this Odu, and we're going to speak on the foundation of what we're speaking on today comes from the Odu Ogunda Meji. And Ogunda Meji talks about, let us exercise patience and wisdom in all matters of our life, for the way of life is full of challenges and is full of trials. It's full of it. We've never been promised, even as we come into new traditions, that there will not be challenges, that there will not be things that we face. There's a Proverbs, and it's Proverbs 4 and 7 in the Bible that says, wisdom is the principal thing, it's the primary thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get an understanding knowledge. There is this Oriki that says, and I'll speak it in English, my Orisha in you I trust, Orisha power across all the earth. So what we're doing in this life as we transition into these different spiritual systems, we want to maintain our family bond, right? When we can, when we can. We would like to maintain the interactions with our family, the support of our family and community. We want our life to shine, our light to shine as well. And so we're going to speak about patience. Patience is a foundation. Patience gives way to blessings. Patience brings good character. Patience is the mother, the father, the foundation in all that we do. So we want to set those boundaries. We want to set those boundaries within our family. Number one is understanding interfaith dynamics. What do we mean by interfaith? And I would go as far as to say interspiritual. And Awakening Spiritual Temple is an interspiritual temple. The majority of the people within, I would say 99% of the people within our tradition practice, 98% practice the Isheshe Ifa tradition. We have some that practice other African spiritual systems and some who practice other indigenous systems and Christianity. So you'll hear me using quotes from Odu, again, and from the Bible, but understanding interfaith. So interfaith really speaks a lot to Abrahamic religions, but I want to talk about interspiritual dynamics. And some of you may be even facing interfaith because you transitioned from being a Muslim to a Christian or a Christian to a Muslim, whatever that is. We're talking about interspiritual because that brightens the scope. Interspiritual is a respect of all spiritual systems, understanding that yours is no better than mine, and it embraces the indigenous system. So what are we talking about? There's an Odu Irosun Meji speaks about patience as a father of character. It is with patience that one endures the trials of life. And when you, I don't know if any of you are experiencing your the dynamic of your family questioning, what are you practicing right now? What is it that you're doing? And so when we're dealing with these interfaith and interspiritual relationships, it's common. We have to practice, it requires patience and empathy. It's easy for us to demand that our family and our friends have patience and empathy with us, but even us, our sitting in the space of patience and empathy for them, and understanding and recognizing that your family and friends may struggle with understanding your spiritual journey due to their own religious beliefs and cultural conditioning. Because let's face it, we are living in a nation right now in the United States that is extremely polarized. We have a group of people who are wanting to step up and they want to make it where Christianity is the only thing. And they state that this nation was founded upon that, but it was founded on religious freedom. And that the church, they moved away from the Church of England ruling. It was literally for the ability to practice God, to see God, to worship God, or not the way that you chose to do. Other people began to come and do whatever those things. So our spiritual journey requires, and we have to understand, those of us that have transitioned out of what are the traditional beliefs or the foundation of what our family originally, those systems and spiritual systems and religions that we grew up in, they've been conditioned. You knew how you were when you were a follower. There were some things that you were adamant on. You really believed. No one could tell you any different. Culturally, you've been conditioned that this is what we practice. And culture, understand, culture is beyond just your country of origin. There's regional culture, there's ethnic cultures, there's cultures within families, there's nationalistic cultures. So it can be a struggle for people to understand. It can be a struggle. Western society has conditioned African spiritual systems, indigenous spiritual systems as demonic. And so you'll have people, if they've grown up and they've been conditioned to think that it is Jesus and that's it, or it is this and that's it. And oh my gosh, you're going to go to hell. You believe in more than one God. All of these different things because there's been a programming. Colonialism enforced their religious belief systems upon the indigenous people that they came into, that they came and exploited, they came and took their land. The first step was to replace your God with their God. Right? And so we have generations and generations and generations of people that have been conditioned to believe the way that they've been taught to believe. And we have to exhibit patience with them when these conversations come up. For those of you who use biblical reference, Ephesians 4, the 4th chapter, verses 2 and 3 says, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. And these scriptures are for those of you who may be facing some challenges on how am I dealing with my family member who is no longer a Christian. They're no longer practicing Christianity, or they're practicing Christianity and something else, with all humility. So when you approach, humility does not mean debasement. It does not mean that you don't have a voice, but it's approaching in a sense and a spirit of, hey, I don't know it all. And I want to move past thinking that what I believe is the end all to be all. And gentleness with patience. I'm seeking first to understand. And I love you as my family member so much that I want to maintain eagerness. That means fervently, that I really want to make this conscientious effort to maintain the unity of spirit that we have. We don't have to practice the same system. I may not agree, but I want to sit down and reason with you and communicate. And reason doesn't mean to convince you, but I would like to approach this with the bond of peace. So I would admonish each and every one of you, because you will have these conversations will occur. They will occur. Those of you that are on here, your family members have already figured it out, or you've spoken it to them. Some people choose not to speak about their spirituality. And hey, if you're that person and you've not, made your family aware of where you are right now, this video, this sermon can be a guide for, later on in life if you choose to do that. I would like to also explore deconstructing and decolonizing why there's a fear behind that. Is it a fear, or is it just a sense of privacy? So I would like to encourage you to approach these conversations with your family, your friends, with humility and a desire to build bridges rather than to create divisions. What do I mean by that? So there is this level at times that I've noticed when people go through these awakenings or these spiritual evolutions or what have you. They come into these traditions. I've gone back to my roots. I've gone back to the ancestral, my indigenous practices. I understand and get it. Definitely. And it's not to come at a person to create division amongst your family or amongst your friends. Oh, you still stuck. You still practicing. You're practicing this. Oh, I'm past that. I'm elevated to a higher status. Oh, you're stuck. You're still understanding. Each one of us have made an agreement when we incarnated into this earth, what practice, what spiritual system we were going to follow, what we were going to practice. And these conversations are not meant for you to proselyte your family members. It is not meant for you to separate and cause confusion amongst your family members. It is a desire to build bridges so that you can maintain, even if it's just maintaining your relationships, your family bond, because family is so important in every indigenous system. It's extremely important. When I was in Nigeria, I was able to experience at a festival people from various religious backgrounds coming to attend, because one thing for sure is that family is extremely important. Your culture is extremely important. And one way that could encourage people or motivate people to further explore is being able to hold an intellectual, peaceful conversation on the sake of building bridges. As I always say, let your light shine, let your light shine. We grew up with that. It's about your character, your personality, your attitude, how you navigate experiences with people. And I would like for you to reflect on considering how your loved ones' concerns may stem from their love for you, even if they express it through resistance. Again, it's about that programming. If you have grown up and you have been told that Jesus Christ is the only way, He's the way, the truth, and the light, that you can only get to God but by through Him, and that everything about your religious system and your belief system and who you are has been based upon this religious system. And I love you so much. I don't want to see you go to hell. You'll hear that. I don't want to see you go. But when we approach these conversations, it's really being able to articulate what your spiritual belief system is, and doing it with, again, seeking to understand and to build bridges. So you may say, yeah, the second point is, how am I communicating? How do I go about communicating my spiritual journey? How do I do that? How do I do that? Some key points that we want to look at is, how do we do that? And let's look at our text from Obara Meji, Obara Meji. And to sum it up, Obara Meji speaks about he who seeks wisdom must learn to speak with grace, for words have the power to heal or to harm. Colossians 4:6 says, let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. There's an Oriki Olodumare, help me with your power. So it is essential that you explain, and it can be non-essential to you again, if you feel that this is not relevant or important. How do you explain your decision to transition into Ifa or any indigenous spiritual practice in a way that is clear, respectful, and non-confrontational? How do we engage in those conversations? How do we engage when asked, what is it that you believe? How is it? Do you believe? One common question that'll come up a lot, oh, you believe in more than one God, because there's this fear with polytheism. And we have to understand that there is a cultural indoctrination, a religious indoctrination, a religious belief system that there can only be one God. So how do you articulate? That's a common question. No, I practice a monotheistic spiritual system. The Orisa are manifestations of Olodumare. And there's an explanation without it being disrespectful, confrontational. Get out my face. I don't feel like talking about that. That's none of your business. You can communicate that effectively in a way that is non-confrontational. And for those of you that are approaching family members that you want to seek to understand, what is it about Ifa? What is it about the spiritual system that you're practicing now? Let your conversations be full of grace. What is grace? It is the ability to listen through the lens and the frame of love, whether I agree with it or not. Seasoned with salt. And salt brings out what? Flavor. So that you may know how to answer to everyone. So we don't have to argue about my belief. I don't have to argue with you in defending my belief. Do I even have to defend my belief or educate you on what I believe? There's a difference between defending and educating, because there is no wrong in the religion that or the spiritual system that either of you practice. And again, those of you, and it's going back to seek first to understand. And it's okay if you don't understand it, to say, you know what, I love you and we're family. And that's the most important thing, because we're going to set these boundaries on how we can navigate. So practice conversations where you clearly articulate why Orisa, why Ifa, why focusing on ancestors at Egungun, why the Dagara system, why these different things resonate with you. Keeping your language open and inviting, where people aren't afraid to ask you. Where your answers, your languaging is inviting discovery. It is open to, I understand that they may not understand where I'm coming from because this is new to them. And so let me season what I say and not attack because I'm being questioned. And in this, reflect on how the Orisha has brought clarity, peace, and purpose to your life. And when you reflect on that and you speak from a personal standpoint, this is how it has impacted my life. This is how they brought clarity, clear understanding, enlightenment, how it's brought peace in my life, and how I'm discovering my purpose, how I've discovered my purpose, and how this guidebook helps me. It helped me answer those things that I just could not find any other place. It empowered me more. Whatever your why, your experience, when you start why with how it makes you feel and what it's done for you, sharing your testimony, that's an inviting way. Number 3, setting boundaries with family and friends. So you could have been like, yeah, that's a lot of explaining to do to people. Setting boundaries with your family and friends. The Odu Oshe Otura. Let us guard our peace and protect our spirit, for not all battles are ours to fight. And those of you that are familiar with Oshe Otur, it talks about the creation story, right? And how Oshun was treated. She didn't fight him. She didn't fight the other Irumale. It wasn't her battle to fight. She went on over and she did what she needed to do. Setting boundaries with family and friends is important. Matthew 10:14 says, if anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that home or town and shake the dust off of your feet. There's an Oriki that's Ashe, may everything be well with me. Setting boundaries, how does that look? Boundaries are essential for maintaining respectful and peaceful relationships, y'all, especially when spiritual beliefs diverge. So to diverge means that we were on the same path at one point and we went a separate direction. And so how does setting boundaries look like for me? How does it look for me? I understand your concerns, but I kindly ask that you respect my spiritual journey. I had weight loss surgery years ago, and people, oh, I can lose weight. You didn't have to do that. You took the easy way out. You did this, you did that. You should have done this. Oh, I think you need to eat more food. Why would you? You know what? I can understand that you have concerns regarding the choices I made with my body. However, and I kindly ask that you keep all unsolicited opinions regarding the choices that I've made and my journey to yourself. I kindly ask that. And I thank you for the concern. I thank you for it. But we're going to set the boundary with that. And so when our spiritual beliefs diverge and you understand, because we're not fighting, right? I'm not battling you. I'm not trying to convince you. I've come at you in the space of love. We've come seeking understanding. You approached me with this dialogue. I approach you from the other standpoint. Hey, I don't understand. So let's be respectful. Let's maintain this friendship. Let's maintain this family dynamic. But I have to set this boundary. And the boundary is we've reached an impasse, right? How do I do this? When you come in my home, you look at my shrines, you see me dressed a certain way, you know, let's unless you're asking because you truly want to understand it, and if you're asking because you want to sit down, and you can establish that after a while with a person, you know, if this person never completely understands. So it can also be, hey, no conversations like we do with politics. We're not talking about politics. We're not talking about spirituality. When you come to my home, my prayers will look like this. When I go to your home, you can do the prayers, you can conduct prayers whatever way that you choose. And if a person continues to want to be combative, my dad always used to say, you're going to always be my family. And I can love you from a distance because I will not allow you to come into my space. I don't care who you are. My dad said, I don't care if you're my parent. I'm going to love you and respect you from a distance, but you cannot come disrespecting me. So I've tried these steps. We've gone through all of these things that we stated earlier. Now I have to set these clear boundaries. I would like to ask each of you to kind of look on later on the day. How do you currently set boundaries? Where might you need stronger ones to protect your spiritual path? I'll ask again. How do you currently set boundaries? And I'm holding the phone, y'all. Can't find my tripod. And where might you need stronger ones to protect your spiritual path? You came into this world by yourself. You're going to leave this world by yourself. I don't care if you were a twin. You came into this world. The account that you give is for yourself. You could have come in with triplets. Every single person has their personal destiny that needs to be fulfilled. They have their personal purpose. So what might I do to protect? What are you doing? What do you need to reinforce to stronger protection for your spiritual path and your journey, you guys? Because ultimately it's about you, again, fulfilling what you came here to do and to be able to get into that space of becoming a good human, becoming a good member of society, fulfilling, again, I'm always talking about fulfilling your destiny, your purpose, and making things easier and not harder. Because if you don't set boundaries, you'll live a life trying to please other people while not pleasing yourself or your Orisa, your higher consciousness or your destiny. Do you have to walk the road alone? No, because community is so integral. And sometimes family changes. And there is addition. There'll always be a blood family, but we get this spiritual family. And even how do you set boundaries on your spiritual path within your spiritual family as well? How do we go about, number 4, managing conflict and maintaining harmony? Harmony is not necessarily balance. Harmony is being able to operate and function within peace. You know, when you're singing in harmony, you have your bass, tenor, alto, soprano, and everything is flowing. Each section is within their own note, but it's a melodic and a harmonious flow. Okanra Meji says wisdom is the key. It speaks about wisdom being the key to maintaining peace. And it's through understanding that we avoid strife. Through understanding, we avoid strife. Romans 12 and 18 says, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. I'm not going to let you stress me because you don't believe and support me in my spiritual path. You don't support my occupation. I'm not going to allow you to stress me. I'm not going to stress you because you decided to diverge and go back to an ancestral practice, or you decided to stay within the system that you're in. Good character is what we want in our lives. And I'll try this. Iwa re re ni mo, fe wa ninu aye mi. Good character is what I want in my life. Conflict can arise when beliefs differ, but it doesn't have to sever the relationship, y'all. It doesn't have to sever the relationships. Conflict arises in marriages, conflict arises on jobs, conflict arises in friendships, but it does not have to sever the relationship. As an old, a black folk adage is, we can agree to disagree. If you like it, I love it. We're not going to fight about it. But what we can do is focus on finding a common ground, such as shared values like love, respect. When we're together, we're going to listen to each other. We're going to love each other. We're going to respect each other. We're going to remember what Big Mama and Papa taught us about what family is. We're going to show kindness to each other. We're going to understand that we're going to seek justice for others within our community. If you notice during the civil rights struggle and through a lot of movements that we have now, the political movements, one common factor is the black folk are like, we're black people. I don't care what religion you are. When people see you, they don't see your religion. They see us as black men and black women. And so we need to seek that social justice together, and finding that even in your relationships with your family. Focus on the common ground. We come from the same bloodline. We come from the same community. We have a shared set of grandparents. We have a shared set of parents. And when you feel yourself getting excited and a person pushes your button, it's finding your center, coming back to your breath. I'm not even going to lie. We know people can push the button and say some stuff to you at the wrong time. You're doing an offering. Those of you that like candles, you're doing something, you're preparing adimu, whatever it is you're doing, and somebody comes up and they say some stuff. Or the discussion, or, everything, that the thing in the U.S. they love, any type of thing that's not Christianity is voodoo. It's voodoo. You're practicing voodoo. You're practicing voodoo. You're practicing voodoo. And it can get tiring of hearing that. And they're even speaking about voodoo from a level of ignorance. You got a whole entire continent with multiple countries, thousands of ethnic groups, thousands of languages, hundreds of different spiritual systems. And you want to lump it up on what one group of people has told you to believe about what your ancestors practiced before they landed here in the U.S. I don't want to hear, I don't get into the argument that we were always here, we're separate. No. My grandma was from here, but mitochondrial Eve, mitochondrial Adam, the first out of Africa experience, the first human migration occurred upon that continent. So understanding, dispelling all of that, human life began on what is now called the continent of Africa, and there is scientific proof that shows the migration of the first humans, genomically, out of that continent, and how they went into other continents. Travel lasted hundreds of years, thousands of years. They stayed in certain places, had children, set up community, moved on, came back. So yes, the gene is all over. But the cradle of civilization, the beginning of all human life, began there. Okay. So when these conversations, and I can go off on other things, when you start feeling it within your body, the first place we're attacked is your breath. Your chest will start tightening. Tense discussions, comments are ignorant and people are just wanting to be argumentative, or you can even get frustrated at times and you feel, dang, I've said this to you over and over and over again. But I want to also approach you with love, because you may not get it. There may be a delay in the connection, but I'm setting these boundaries because with you, I see that you just like to keep stuff going. So breathing, finding your center with your breath during these discussions. Also understanding that you don't have to entertain everything, but finding my breath. Finding center, controlling your breath, being patient so that you don't speak venom and that you don't speak in haste. And when you begin to bring your center back to your breath, calming your breath, that's the one thing you can control. I respect your beliefs and how you feel. And I hope we can find a way to respect each other's past. I respect your beliefs, and I hope you can find a way to respect my path. I would like for you to identify areas in your relationships where harmony can be restored without sacrificing your spiritual identity, okay? I want you to identify areas in your relationships where harmony can be restored without sacrificing your spiritual identity. You may not like it. It may make you uncomfortable that I wear traditional clothing. It may make you uncomfortable that I've decided to change my name. I'm not going to not be who I am. I'm not going to not say what I feel. I'm not going to not say I'm not going to have this broadcast. I'm getting rid of my temple. I'm not going to have an elay. I'm not going, when I come around my family, I'm not going to say anything about who I am spiritually. No, no. It's finding that common ground that I spoke of respect, of respect. The fifth thing is cultivating inner strength and confidence. The Odu Ogbeyonu, to sum it up, he who is firm in his belief shall never waver, for the strength of the spirit is greater than the challenges of the world. Isaiah 41:10 says, fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will hold you with my righteous hand. My Ori blesses me with honor. My Ori prevents me from experiencing sorrow. My personal journey, your personal journey in maintaining inner strength, inner resilience, inner fortitude in the face of external doubts or criticism, it is extremely important that you not waver, that you not turn your back on where you have come, where you have been personally led, whether you're the lone wolf in your family that has gone on this path in modern generation and lineage. Because understanding Christianity is not native, Islam is not native. When we go back millennia, when we go back to our ancient generations, it was not. We know when Abrahamic religions came into play, right? We even know when Buddhism came. Okay. So how do I connect with my spirits? How do I connect with my Orisa, my Ifa community, my Dagra community for support and encouragement? It's important to connect with your community because at times it can become daunting. It can become daunting. There's no need for you to become overwhelmed. Hold firm in your beliefs. and not waver. Everything isn't for everyone, and it's not for everyone to understand. The strength that has been given to you by your ancestors, by Olodumare, by the Irumale, by the Orisha, by Ifa, whatever your system is greater than the challenges of the world. And what I love about this is that when I face a challenge, I can sit down for consultation that will give me the prescription, will identify the personal problem, the energy that is around me, the personal thing with me that's going on with me, and give me the prescription, the solution on how to rectify. Does it mean that you won't face challenges? No, not at all. But I have a system and a way in which I can get the understanding and the empowerment. So I would speak to each and every one of you. Don't become discouraged, because so many people are going back to where they've been led out of because of the burden that they feel is too heavy. Reach out. It's communal. It's communal. It's communal. Reach out to your elders. It is communal. Reach out. Utilize the tools that we have. Engage in regular spiritual practices, y'all, that enforce your faith, your belief. Do your prayers. Make your offerings. Meditate. Study. Do your checkup. Do your divination. Affirming yourself that my journey is sacred. My journey is sacred. That's personal, right? My journey, my walk, my path. It's not a marathon, it's a journey. My journey, it's about me. It is sacred. It's not profane. It is not profane. My walk, my personal journey is divine. It is blessed. It is to be revered. It is sacred. It is not mundane and it is not profane. And I trust in the guidance of my Ori. My Ori. This is all about me. I trust in the guidance of my destiny, my Ori, my personal Orisha. I trust because I understand the agreements that I chose how this life was going to look. I chose the path that I was going to take before I incarnated on this. It's personal. It's personal. So if you're not walking your personal path, because each one of us need to fulfill the destiny that we chose, because it affects us, our children. It affects generations back, current generations and generations forward. And it affects community that I do my work and that I am guided by my Ori, my ancestors, my Gungun, Ifa, and Egbe. My journey is sacred. It's personal, y'all. It's about you. Do not allow disruptions. Do not allow people's ignorance, which is lack of knowledge about who you are, whose you are, and what you do, derail you. Affirm my journey is sacred. And I trust in the guidance of my Ori, ancestors, Orisha, Ifan, Egbe, and whatever your indigenous system is, add it in there. Ori is their higher consciousness. What practices help you stay grounded and confident in your spiritual walk? What are you doing? What are your practices? If you don't have any, develop them. If you need assistance, reach out. Can you strengthen these habits? Are there some areas that you can work in to shore up your foundation? When you have a strong spiritual foundation and you have a personal relationship with spirit. When you move beyond religiosity, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof. When you move beyond, it has this look and this aesthetic, and move into personal relationship with your higher consciousness and your purpose and fulfilling in your relationship with Ola Dumade and with your spirits. When you move into that, it's so empowering. Remember that your spiritual journey is yours and it is yours alone. I encourage you to remember that. Others may not understand it. Their love for you can remain strong. Remember that your spiritual journey is yours alone, and while others may not understand it, their love for you can remain strong. Approach your conversations with these people and your relationships with compassion, and trust that your path will be guided by Ori. It will be guided by your ancestors. It will be guided by Orisa. It will be guided by Ifan, your Egbe. Olodumare, I ask that you guide us with wisdom, that you strengthen us with love, and grant us peace in all our relationships. Ashe. And I have some reference material for y'all, for some sources on how you navigate this, and I'll type them later on. There is a book called The Power of Now, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment by Eckhart Tolle. The Anatomy of Peace, Resolving the Heart of Conflict by the Arbinger Institute. I want to cite my sources that I use as well. Boundaries, When to Say Yes, How to Say No to Take Control of Your Life by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. Conversations on Faith, How to Connect with Loved Ones Who Have Different Beliefs by James Emery, Emery, White. That's Echo, Motel, Echo, Romeo, Yankee, White. The Interfaith Family Journal, A Guided Process for Creating Your Unique Interfaith Family and Navigating Religion Together by Susan Katz, K as in Kappa, A as in Alpha, T as in Tango, Z as in Zulu. Kilo Alpha Tango Zulu Miller, Susan Katz Miller. I have recited Odu from the Sacred Ifa Oracles. You can find Odu, and there are resources if you need resources on Odu. Also consult your elders. So when you've heard me speak about Ogunda Meji, Okanran Meji, I have given you citations from the King James Version of the Bible. So there are resources that are out here. I thank you for your time. I thank you for listening, and I pray that you find peace in your relationships with your family. I thank you for tuning in into Awakening Spiritual Temple. You can reach out to us. Our email address is loaded here as well. We are a interspiritual temple. If you need any assistance, please feel free to give us a call. We offer Ifa consultation, divination, Egbe, we offer spiritual consultation. Reach out to us for further information. Thank you and have a great